Knights at the Round Table, a round table discussion on speculative fiction books and film. Hi everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Knights at the Round Table. Today we are discussing the 1992 animation Ferngully, and I'm sitting at the table with Marjolaine. And I would like to start with general impressions of the film, Marjolaine.
Unsettled.
Unsettled.
In one word, that movie is unsettled.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I used to watch that movie. We had the VHS at home when I was a kid, and I remember having watched it. There are some scenes that were still sticking in my mind before I rewatched it last night. And I guess I liked it well enough then. But then rewatching it now, I was like, you are not subtle.
I don't think it was supposed to be so. Okay, so for me, unsettled was not the issue I had with it. The issue I had with it was set in Australia. Not one Aboriginal person, and not an Australian accent to be seen. Like maybe
was it set in Australia?
It was set in Australia. There were kangaroos, kangaroos and sugar gliders and platypus. There was a platypus.
Oh,
yeah, set in Australia. Not one Aboriginal person. Everybody was white. Everybody was white. And not an Australian accent in sight. They didn't even get an Australian singer for the final song. Like, the final song was done by Elton John. Could easily have been done by John Farnham, who is a really popular, quite famous in Australia singer.
was he popular in the 90s?
He had one song that crossed the pond. What was it? You're the Voice.
Oh.
But he never got big over in North America because he was afraid of flying, and so never flew over on tour.
Yeah, that would be a problem.
He's an Australian icon, though. Like, he's called The Voice because he's such an excellent singer, and I was in love with him when I was a kid. But yeah, nothing Australian about this apart from, the platypus and the Australian rock art and the kangaroos and wallabies and the two cassowaries. It was clearly set in Australia. Nothing Australian about it. It pissed me off when I was a kid watching it, and it pissed me off now.
I completely missed the fact that it was set in Australia. I don't know if I blanked out the kangaroos or something. I wouldn't have recognized any of the other things, though. I don't know if I knew what a platypus was when I was 7. So
probably
I just figured probably it was a fantasy land with fantasy animals, which Australia...
Australia would be a grimdark fantasy. Mostly desert and everything can kill you. But yeah. Oh, it bugged me so much. It really bugged me that there were no Aboriginals in it. Because...
Yeah, but I mean, where would they have put them? There are 3 human characters and everyone else is a fairy. Would it have been a good thing if they were Aboriginal? I'm afraid of the...
yeah, well, they wouldn't have been able to do it properly in 1992, let me tell you.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have been cognizant of all of the issues around it. But that's why you get people on board with you who can tell you, no, you can't do that. That's disrespectful. Yes, you can do this. That's great. Like, I mean, plenty of Aboriginal kids would work a shitty job marking trees to cut down, right?
Yeah.
Because they're people trying to survive in what is now Australia. What Australia is now. Right? So, yeah. I mean, the fairies could have been dark, for crying out loud. They're in Australia! Even if you're in the rainforest, that's a lot of sun.
Yeah.
Anyway, it pissed me off.
That's fair.
I did love Robin Williams, though, as the baddie.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before we started shooting. I didn't know it was Robin Williams when I first watched it, because I watched it in French.
Yeah. Yeah. The minute the voice started, I'm like, wait a second! Is that? And then I looked it up, and yeah. It was Robin Williams. I'm like, of course it was, because, I mean, it's a frantic bat that is continually changing channels because of the electrode in its head. Only Robin Williams could pull that off.
Well, maybe other people since, but in 1992, I think, pretty much.
I mean, that
Robin
was his
Williams.
whole stick, was changing voices like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great. He was great.
It was great.
Yeah. But everything else was annoying. Although, when I was watching this and Maggie died, I ended up in a pool of tears because for some reason I was thinking of my grandmother. And I got very homesick. I was just, I miss you, Grandma. So I don't know. I got emotionally invested, clearly. Can't have been all that bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts. So, was there anything about the movie you liked? It was very ham-fisted, so
It was incredibly ham-fisted. Was there anything that I liked? It's hard to... There wasn't anything that I loved, but the stuff that I didn't love only made me sort of... So I wasn't like raging hating. It was just like, oh, come on.
Okay, so you didn't want to punt this one into the sun.
No. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Like, I'm the person who never curses, who never says anything bad, and that becomes my catchphrase.
Punt that thing into the sun. Yes. That is now your catchphrase. I'm going to get you a shirt with that written on it.
Hey, shirt. Okay. Well, I guess... for the time that it was made in, I thought the animation was pretty nice. The animation
was great. And also, as to the ham-fistedness of it, I mean, this was created in a time that Captain Planet was on TV screens. So...
Yeah. And that's funny. I was... I don't know when this is going to air, but the last Vlogbrothers video that came out on Friday...
Yes!
Was about, and I had
talked about how much he didn't like Captain Planet now.
Yeah, and I had just seen that video a couple of days ago when I watched that.
Actually, same. And I'm like, oh, this is the same sort of problems with Captain Planet. Although, you know...
A little bit different, but... A different approach, but the same kind of
issue.
Same kind of issue.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
At the end, the 3 humans who have gone through this nightmare of destruction and pollution are going to save the planet. No, they are the 3 schmucks who operate the heavy machinery. They're going to lose their job.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Exactly. Though I do like that they didn't make the 2 schmucks driving the machinery the main villains, right? They were just the morons who happened to be working the machinery. The main villain was pollution itself. Yes. This as a sort of personification of
destruction, which was a little bit
Hexus.
Yeah, Hexus. Because Hexus was, I think I remember that Magilune said it was the personification of destruction. But then when she's giving her magic lesson to Krista, she says that the destruction and creation were a balance, that they were part of the circle of life or whatever. She didn't say that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like it's part of a balance.
Yeah.
And like destruction is part of the balance, but it's also the great villain.
Yeah, the way I took it was that unmitigated destruction would be the villain. Right? There's the natural destruction that happens when a tree grows old and dies and falls and then knocks down a bunch of other trees, and then the sunlight comes through to the growth on the ground and new trees can sprout up.
Yeah.
Right? So that would be the natural. Unmitigated destruction is the
humans.
Yeah.
It's humans. Yeah, it's us. We suck, guys. Oh, I have to say, this movie was incredibly 90s, and it's never more obvious than when Batty is rapping. The minute that song started, I'm like, oh my god, flashbacks. Flashbacks to old MTV videos on TV. Yeah, that was so 90s. It made me snort. It didn't age well.
No.
It's not a classic. It's not something that aged particularly well.
You know what else didn't age well? I don't know why, but I fixated on this very strongly. Zack. First of all, Zack, Z-A-K.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second, he was very obviously a bleach blonde. His eyebrows and his sideburns were brown. Like, oh my god!
I didn't even notice. What I did notice was that Zack looked an awful lot like a young John Farnham, FYI. I'll show you pictures later. Like, when John Farnham was younger, he looked kind of like Zack.
Okay.
in sort of like the vaguely mulletish hairstyle that was blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blonde. What I caught on was that halfway through, Zach seemed to lose his shoes, and then he got them back again.
What the movie?
When he was swimming in the pool with Krista, there was like, and he grabbed hold of and the platypus pushed him along. That whole sequence, not wearing shoes. When he goes to fight the machine, wearing shoes again. Where did his shoes go? How did they come back? Nobody knows. But I noticed it and I went, ha! Continuity, you need to do some work. Yeah. As a character, I really liked Maggie. And not just because she reminded me an awful lot of Grandma. My grandma, not your grandma.
Well, maybe.
Well, maybe your grandma. Who knows? Yeah. I did like her. I think the message overall is more or less good. But it's such a clumsy way to go about it.
Yeah.
And that said, I'm not sure how much nuance you can really... Because it's such a nuanced sort of quandary.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's easy when you're a kid in the 90s to watch that kind of movie and go out thinking, yeah, deforestation is bad. And then you're looking back at it at 30 years old and like, now we're literally surrounded by wood and paper right now.
Yeah. Deforestation is still bad, but...
I mean, it's kind of maybe just a bit hypocritical to say that here and now.
Yeah, deforestation is still bad, but I am writing on paper. Yeah.
Sitting on a wooden chair.
Sitting on a wooden chair.
Surrounded by books.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, it is so incredibly unsubtle. Oh, God.
The completely unnecessary romantic subplot.
Oh, yes. Please and thank you. Yeah, I didn't make a mental note of it, because I was too lazy to make notes for this movie as well. There's a theme here. But yeah, again, unnecessary romantic subplot /
you're gonna make
sexual
a movie
tension for no reason, just because you need conflict with Zach and what's his face, Pip.
Yeah.
It was just absolutely
because you're making a movie that's theoretically about deforestation and pollution and the need to protect the environment. What it needs is a love triangle.
Yeah. Yep, that's totally what's necessary.
90s.
Also a little bit now too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God, I might say this till after the break. No, I'm going to save it till after the break. So yeah, I agree. The romantic subplot was absolutely unnecessary. I am still longing for a movie where a male and female can work together and not be romantically involved. Thank you, Pacific Rim.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Another episode. That's one movie out of the God knows how many movies there have been where there's like see, it's difficult because I like a little bit of romance, but when it's taking up that much time in a movie that's supposed to be about something else, it annoys me. Yeah. Especially because like everything else in the movie, it didn't advance the plot any, and also it was equally as ham-fisted as the rest of the damn movie. Another thing I want to talk about is how... I don't want to swear here. Oh, fuck it. How fucking terrible the voice acting was. With the exception of Tim Curry as Hexus and Robin Williams as Batty, they were so bad. Oh, and Maggie. Maggie was pretty good. But the rest of them were, like, awful. And a lot of that is that the script was awful. Not as bad as some scripts. But it was still awful.
Well, yeah.
And the voice acting, not great.
I wonder if good voice acting could have saved a bad script. They don't have much else to work with.
Yeah, that's it. You need to be exceptional if the script is as bland, kind of badly written as this one was in order to save it. But the voice acting really didn't help it at all. At all. Oh, except for the lizard. Who played the lizard that tries to eat Zach?
Oh, yeah.
Which he had.
I don't remember I didn't look up the actor's name.
No. It was a fairly minor part, so but he was good and his song was great. But yeah, the voice acting was not good, except for Robin Williams and Tim Curry.
Yeah.
Which makes me sad, because I do remember really liking this as a kid, except for the whole Australian thing, which ticked me off. But yeah.
Nice but not memorable is what that movie was.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Ferngully, if you've ever watched Avatar, not Avatar The Last Airbender, James Cameron's Avatar, it's basically exactly the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pocahontas.
Well, no, because in Avatar, they became the same as the Na'vi people, right? And in this one, Zack is shrunk down to fairy size. So a closer analogy would be Avatar is basically Ferngully in space.
White savior.
Yeah, the whole white savior complex too, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Except, I mean, everybody in this movie was fucking white, so it didn't matter. He wasn't a white savior, he was a human savior.
A human savior to the fairy world,
To the fairy world, right. The same idea, right? Sort of the colonialist mindset that the indigenous population can't possibly take care of themselves, so somebody's got to come in and fix all their problems for them.
Except for half the time there's going to be the plot twist where yes, they had the power to save themselves all along, and they end up saving him and being the wise teachers.
Yeah, it's
which is not necessarily better.
No. No. Oh, there's a lot to pick apart with this movie, but the thing is, it's not a classic enough to even bother with that. Right?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's entirely unmemorable. We were just talking in the break about the things that we remembered about it, and it was different for each one, and honestly, the only thing I remembered about this film was that it was set in Australia, and nobody was Australian. So...
I remembered a couple of the key scenes between Zack and Krista, but very short clippets, and only those two things. They were the last two things I remember.
Yeah. Thank heavens it was a short movie.
Yeah, 75 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty standard for 90s kids
90s
fare.
Cartoon, yeah. And I'm so used to, like, movies that are 2.5, 3 hours long now, that 1.5-ish minutes just sounds so reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, I don't know what they would have done with 2.5 hours.
With this particular writing team?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, the people behind Ferngully. I mean, it's fine as far as animated 90s movies go, but oh my god. Watching it now as an adult... I mean, well, I say that. The same things still piss me off. It's exactly the same thing. I'm just really mad that there wasn't an Australian in this movie set in Australia. Like, even
the things that I remembered as a kid were are some of the things that I disliked the most now. So that movie did not age well. Or I'm the one who changed too much for it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, subtlety is often lost on the very young, so it doesn't need to be a subtle film to be good. But, I mean, modern writers manage the balance between children and an adult so well that going back to a time when that was less of a thing is a little weird. Yeah. A little jarring. Yeah. Which is a shame, because, I mean, the message is essentially good. Look after the planet we've got. There is no planet B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yet.
By the time there is one, it's going to be too damn late.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so final thoughts and star rating?
I don't know. There are things that should just stay very deep in the past, I think. It's not even necessarily angry making bad. It's just not good.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. There's stuff about it I like. The stuff about it that has later proven to be true, actually, that trees communicate with each other through the root system and is often helped by fungi.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. So that bit where one tree lights up and then it spreads to another tree and that lights up and then another tree and that lights up, that's actually pretty accurate. Cool. Except trees obviously don't randomly just start glowing. But, you know, the communication is correct.
Yeah, it's making a fantasy thing of something that is scientifically factual.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was cool. And despite not a single Australian in sight, I liked the fact that it was set in Australia. I mean, for God's sake, even Finding Nemo had Australian sharks. Okay! Okay! God damn it! I think one of the cassowaries might have had a vaguely Australian accent, but you saw them in all of one scene. And also they were stupid as. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that's a very Australian saying. They were really dumb. They were really stupid. They were not very bright. Which might not be all that inaccurate, actually, since they're basically prehistoric birds, but whatever. Anyway. Star rating. 2. 2 for me. And part of that might have been like the nostalgia factor, plus also it made me think of grandma. So
they're not making me think of grandma. It was, yeah, no, 1.
Yeah, well, it's a movie. Would you like to pick the next one?
Well, you don't like to pick, so I don't have a choice.
No, yes, that's exactly. No, you don't have a choice. Just pick the next one.
Oh, cool! Jurassic Park.
Oh, yay! I forgot that was in the bowl. All right. I have no further notes for Ferngully. Okay, so the next one is the 1993. Oh, we went up a year. So the
Very different message.
So yeah, the next movie we will be reviewing is the original Jurassic Park. That's the 1993 release. If you have any thoughts about Ferngully, leave them down in the comments below. I just realised my Australian accent got broader every time I started talking about Australia. Expat! And if you have other movies that you'd like to suggest, also leave those down in the comments below and I'll put them in the bowl. And I lurk sometimes, so you may or may not get a response, depends on how lazy I'm feeling. Probably pretty lazy. That's been the theme. Yeah! Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye!
Bye!
Recording. Audio is coming soon.
Coming soon to a theatre near you. Audio.